Welcome to the Overlady Reads, the show where my wife, the Overlady, reads books.
Yes.
Yes. What have you read this week?
So I read Elantris.
Excellent. So this is the Overlady
Also known as Atlantis.
It's not Atlantis. also known as Adonis as well. Yeah. This is a fun story that came from the preface. So I'm Overlord Jeebus, also known as Ben. This is my wife, the Overlady.
Hi.
And so let's talk Elantris.
Okay, cool.
So Elantris.
Yeah, I like this one. There were no pew pew gunfights.
There was no gunfights, yeah.
There was no Wayne.
Yeah.
So I'm good.
I forgot to mention. So not only did you read Elantris this time, but I also read Elantris.
No, you listened to Elantris. It's different.
Same thing.
It's
oh
different.
My god, it's the same thing.
It's not.
So you liked this one because it didn't have pew pew gunfights in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love the way that the prologue sets up Atlantis so well.
Yeah.
Being like, it's the place where people who get turned into these gods go and they perform magic and people go to be healed and it's a beautiful city. Nothing can compare to it. And then the prologue just ends with eternity ended 10 years ago.
Yes.
And it's
eternity ended 10 years ago. It's
such a good line.
It's such a good hook. And it just gets you right in there. And it's like, oh.
That's what got it for me.
Yeah.
I realised quite early on that the fan art that I've been looking at and being like, yes, I want to read that book.
Yeah.
Wasn't this book.
What was the fan art you were looking at that you thought was this book?
I don't know. I will show you.
Okay.
When we get to that book. I'm not looking things up until I've got there.
Yeah, that makes sense. It was probably Stormlight Archive because 99% of the artwork on the internet that's for Cosmere stuff is Stormlight Archive.
It probably would be.
Yeah.
But that hook, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And then it goes into Raedon's bedroom and
the first line is just, he didn't wake up and he didn't know he was damned.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then he obviously is just going about his morning and he's like, I'm really hungry. Really hungry. I'll just call my servants in. And the servant just screams and drops the tray. And he's like, whoa, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then he looks at himself and he's like, well, I'm damned.
Yeah, and then it's just hard cut to the doors to Elantris slammed behind him. And I'm like, oh. I gotta say, right, so I've always been a detractor of this book. I've always said I didn't like this book.
Yeah.
Turns out I really like this book. What happened is that I found when I was reading it, I really enjoyed it.
Mm.
But then when I stopped reading it, and you'd be like, what bit did you get to? Because, by the way, this one, you read it in 4 days?
3
days. And I was listening to the audiobook where I have other things to get on with in my life. No, I'm
halfway through Warbreaker.
Yeah, you're halfway through Warbreaker.
Yeah.
So I've got to I was listening to my queue to work, but this book is 30 hours long, the audiobook. That's a very long audiobook. So
it's quite reasonable, I find.
So yeah, I finished it about 10 minutes ago. And you'd constantly be asking me where are you? How far have you got? And I was like, I'm at the bit where Raiden continues to try and restore Elantris, and Serene went to another political party, and Harathan did some scheming with Dylaf. And I'm like, when I'm reading it, I was really enjoying it.
Yeah.
But as soon as I stopped reading it, I was like, I was like, it kind of slipped out of my mind what was going on or what it was about.
Fair.
So yeah.
I really love Elantris. Yeah. I really like the characters in this book.
Yeah. Yes.
There's such a good mix of personality. There's a good mix of their opinions.
Yes.
I really like the fact that Raedon is just a leader.
Yeah.
There is no moment where he sort of hesitates or he thinks, I'm not doing a good job here. He's just like, yep, this is what I do.
Yeah.
I'm just good at this naturally.
He just walks into Elantris and just immediately starts giving orders.
Yeah.
And even I think Galadon comments on it a couple of times, being like, you just so naturally assume other people are going to do what you tell them to do. And he's like...
Well, he's been training for it for his whole life.
Yeah.
And I think it just shows that actually if the Sheod hadn't happened, Sheod or Riod?
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
So the Sheod, the Sheod is the thing that that turned you into Elantrian.
Okay, cool.
And the Riod is the thing that destroyed Elantris.
Okay, cool.
And Hoed is the thing you become when you lose your mind.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just not great with words. But I really love the fact that he so quickly just shows what a good king he would have been.
Yeah.
And at no point does he sort of sit and wallow in the fact that I can't be a king anymore.
Yeah.
He just sort of looks around and goes, well, how can I make this place better?
Yeah.
And he just starts doing that. And I really like that. And like how quickly it catches on and how everyone's like, oh, actually, it's not so awful here.
Yeah, if we make this a better place, it'll be a better place.
It became a little community and it was really sweet.
We had a little community garden. And,
And when they start polishing all the stones and they're like, wow, there's art under here.
Yeah.
And these are statues. They're not just dirty pillars.
What's the name of the guy they get to clean, the old guy that they get to clean? I can't remember his name.
Don't ask me names.
Okay, yeah, you're terrible at names. I want to say his name's Marishi, but I think that was the craftsman. But whoever it was that they got to clean it, he was so cute. He was just this old guy, and he was like, do you want to just clean the endless amount of sludge that covers Elantris?
He's so happy to be cleaning because he loves having a purpose and he loves being able to do something he's good at.
Yeah.
And then every now and then you get this cranky old man moment of, you've not taken your shoes off. Why have you not changed yet?
Like Karata walks in and it's like, Karata, you've got to wash your feet before you come into the church. I think they set up in,
But I really love the fact that they make Elantris a nice place to be.
Yeah.
And they make it somewhere where the people of Elantris want to live. Yes.
Like Raiden, I think I had the same problem with Raiden that I had with Elend. And I think I just have this same...
You can't have a problem with Elend.
Oh my god, you know what my problem with Elend was? I think I had this kind of... I have this image in my head of the characters that Brandon writes that are like the goody two-shoes characters. In my head, I kind of pigeonhole them into this nerd, boring, like, go away, you're a rubbish character. But then when I'm actually reading him, like Raiden, I'm like, yeah, you go, guy. I'm like, you're doing great.
Like, he's just such a good character.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really have anything to say about him negative-wise.
Yeah.
I don't think...
No, I don't think so.
We'll wait and see.
We'll see.
We'll see. There's a long video to go.
How about Sereni?
Hot as fuck.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Right.
Yeah.
Right. The woman who is her problem, her major... so she's great. I really like Sereni. But like her character flaw is that she's just so tall and so beautiful and she fills her dress out so well and she's just so commanding and intelligent and witty that no man wants her.
Yeah.
And it's just...
I mean, I guess it's because you're not a woman.
Yeah.
But when you do sit there and you're like, but hang on a second... I've got all the good qualities, like, why wouldn't somebody want me to be their wife?
Yeah.
And look at all these guys that just see me as one of the people. They don't see me as a woman. They don't see me as a potential candidate. They just see me as Serena.
Yeah. Okay.
You know? I can understand the whole paranoia behind it, where no matter what you do, people just don't see you as a romantic option.
Yeah.
And... worked out quite nicely for the story.
It did work out.
If she'd married someone else, or Rheodon, that I can understand where she's like, but is it because I'm clever? Is it because I'm too tall? Like, why don't people like me? Because obviously no one comes out and says, sorry, I don't want to date you because you're too tall. Or I don't want to date you because you're much smarter than I am. Like, she's just sort of always left wondering.
Okay.
And where she was back in Teod...
You did a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's because you listen to the audiobooks, you know how to pronunciate.
No. I would have got Teod.
Yeah. Okay.
Whether it's actually pronounced another way, I will never know.
That's what the audiobook says.
But being as all of the guys back home, she was the butt of every joke.
Yeah.
And despite being a princess, nobody wanted to go near her. And it's like, but why?
Yeah.
And like, you're sort of left wondering... why no one wants you. So it's quite nice that...
So what I kind of see as a funny, I'm too perfect kind of flaw, it really is like, no, this is something that's some people have to go through. Like, people have to be like, if you're constantly rejected without giving an answer, and she wasn't, because no one's going to tell the princess of your country, oh yeah, you're too tall or you're too smart, you know. That okay.
And then she says to her dad, just because you find smart women attractive doesn't mean that anybody else does.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, by the way, once we get to the end of the characters, right? There's something I'm going to point out to you as well. So, any more about Serini?
No, I'm good.
Cool. On to my favourite character. Good old...
Hyacinth.
No, what's the Disney character's name? Oh my god.
Frollo.
Good old Frollo! Or as you like to call him...
Hyacinth.
I
know it's Harathan.
It's Harathan.
It's Harathan. But I don't like saying names as they're supposed to be said.
No, which, don't worry, it's really easy to not say Elantrian names how they're supposed to be said.
See, I didn't think that I had any of them down.
Yeah.
But then listening to the audiobook, I was like, oh, that's how it was in my head.
Yeah.
Like, I actually think I picked these names up quite okay-ish.
I was going to say, because we were originally going to do a thing where I would just give Lucy a list of names and have them read them out at the beginning of the video, and we could laugh at her pronouncing them badly, and then I would then read them and you'd laugh at me pronouncing them badly, because I don't know how to pronounce them either. But then we were listening to the audiobook, and they were both listening to the audiobook, and then it's like, okay, that, you know, it's kind of fills your mind with how to pronounce things.
Tainted.
Yes. But yes, Harathan. I really like Harathan.
Yeah.
I just really like... He's a dude. He comes there. He's like, I'm going to save this country by converting them to my very blatantly evil religion. and like,
we're demons. How can you tell us we're the bad guys?
It's like, yes, don't look at my horrible demon arm. I'm totally a good guy.
Guys.
But yeah, because I really liked his quest to like save people's souls, and I really liked how the role that religion plays in this book. Because I'm quite atheistic. And so for me, reading a book where religion plays such a major role, and like all the different ways that the facets of religion and like the different ways that it can branch off and how those play off each other. And like there was things about his whole arc about he logically understands his religion and he logically believes in his religion, but he doesn't have the faith anymore in his religion. I found that really interesting. That was like, because it's separating those two kind of, it's the difference between knowing something and believing something. He knows his religion. He knows it perfectly. He recites it, but he doesn't believe it anymore.
He does.
That's like his main thing. He doesn't have faith in it anymore.
He does. He's starting to come to the realization that maybe there's more to the world. Yeah. And maybe not everybody has to follow his religion. Maybe there's room for everyone. Yeah. I think that's why he developed such a fascination with the Elantrians and the fact that they've fallen. Yeah. So, can other religions fall? Yeah. And actually, was it so bad just having this little corner that was different? Yeah. It's like, I think a lot of his turmoil comes from the takeover of Fjorden.
Fjordell taking over Duladel?
Yes.
Yes.
Because obviously he was there for that.
Oh, he was so guilty about that.
Yeah, well, how can you not be? You're like, yeah, we're here to convert people. Oh, the demon monsters are murdering everyone. Yeah. Oh, it's a one-off. It's okay. We couldn't save those people. Yeah. And then when he realizes that actually the goal was just to obliterate everyone anyway, he's like, oh. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's not what I thought. And he starts to question his religion quite heavily at the end. Yes.
He straight up goes against his, the only person who's of almost equal rank. It's a bit iffy about whether Dylas of us equal higher rank.
No, he's higher. He's the level above, I believe.
It says they're kind of what's the word, where they're next to each other in the hierarchy, because the Guions report straight to the Wern, but then so does the Grognak.
You're asking me words. Why would you ask me words?
Some of these terms are really silly.
I just called them griffins.
The griffins. Yeah. Okay.
made more sense.
That works. But yeah, I really liked Harathan in this book, and he was the character I remembered the most from reading in the past. Like I said, I read this like 10 years ago, and he's the character who I always remembered. I didn't remember anything about Raiden's story. I didn't remember anything about Serene's story. I didn't even remember Dylaf existing. I just remembered Harathan.
How could you not remember Dilf? Side note, I'm very aware that his name is Dylaf. I just like calling him Dilf because I find it funny in my head. So Dilf, I absolutely loved his relationship with Harathan. I'm trying to say it properly. For the first time, I loved the way that they played off of each other.
Oh, God, yeah.
And how they both seem to oppose each other. And you spend the whole book trying to work out if Dilf is actually a good guy.
Yeah.
Because he's constantly trying to foil Harathan.
You're going to get there eventually.
I'm not going to get there.
You'll get there. I believe in you, Lucy.
But I just love how Hyrath is constantly like, oh, why is he doing this behind my back? And what's he doing that for? And it turns out that Dilf is just like a really bad guy.
He's playing 4D chess here.
Like I thought he was like maybe a little bit crazy. I thought maybe he was a good guy that was trying to bring down a religion from the inside. I was not expecting him to be as crazy as he was.
Crazy demon man.
The book spent the whole time telling me that he was crazy. Just didn't expect that level of crazy.
That level of demon crazy.
Yes. His hatred of the Elantians is so fascinating.
Yeah, I completely forgot, because like I said, I completely forgot loads of stuff happened in the book. But when they say early on, one of Raiden's reading a book about a woman who came to get her healed, and then she got turned into one of the Hoed. She got turned.
The story was that a guy takes his wife into Atlantis because she's got palsy.
Elantris.
So he takes her to go and get healed, but the Atlantean messed up the base rune by accident and ended up turning his wife into a
basically one of the Sheoded, Reoded, Hoed. Yeah.
She obviously gets the blotchy skin. She's in a lot of pain.
She can't heal.
Yeah. And she ends up not being able to cope with it anymore and throwing herself off a building.
Yes.
So obviously he blames himself for that, and he wants to see Elantris gone.
And then that guy then turns out to be Dylaf.
Yeah.
Which was great. So like the story. So the way I understand the story it plays out is 20 years ago, Dylaf was sent to Erelone.
Yeah.
To infiltrate the Erelorish society. Yeah. And he was morphed into this weird like gremlin man, because like he used to be really tall and now he's like shorter.
His bones have been like made into Aeon.
Yeah. And so he was morphed into the thing, and then he was there for like 10 years where he met his wife Seal, or Sealy.
I don't think she's ever named.
She is, but only like one sentence, and then I checked the Coppermind.
Well, there we go.
There we go.
Those of us that don't have access to the Coppermind.
Oh my god, it's a public website.
Yeah, but I'm not going to use it. So what's the point?
Because I mean, I am here, so what is the point? So he then fell in love with Seal during that 10 years where the whole palsy Reodid thing happened.
Yeah.
And then 10 years after he arrived, the Reod hit where the chasm opened, the Elantrians fell. There was all the turmoil, and during that turmoil, he then pretended to be an Elarish person who'd converted to Shu Derath, and then for 10 years was a lower member of the Shu'Dareth, because I guess he knew eventually the time would come where they'd invade?
No, so he knew... He's been getting orders from the Wyrn.
Wyrn, yeah.
I'm going to call him Worm.
Yeah, that's fine.
He's been getting orders from the Worm.
Yes.
And so he knows exactly what he's expected to do.
Yeah.
He's not the only demon guy undercover. I believe there's supposed to be a second.
Oh. I know at the very end, it turns out all of the feudal merchants that turned up were turned out to be all soldiers.
But I believe that the Worm had a couple of, like, priests at his level.
Okay.
Sort of hidden amongst the ranks there.
Sort of the fully decored,
yeah.
You know.
And they were just supposed to be waiting to get the order to obliterate.
Okay.
Because when Hierathan...
Yeah. You're getting there,
when Hierathan came to
Arelon, yeah.
Arelon,
it's fine.
He was sent with the instruction that in 3 months...
They would attack.
We're going to attack.
Yeah.
You've got to just make sure the people know they're damned.
Yes.
He wasn't told to go and preach to them or try and convert them.
Yeah.
He was just there to tell them they are going to die.
Yeah, and he was there as the distraction for...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, obviously, he already had a couple of his guys in place that attack, if needed to, could go ahead.
Yeah.
At any given moment. So, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
That's Dilf.
Good old Dilf.
Love Dilf.
Good old Dilf.
Iadon.
Oh yeah, good old King Iadon. Good old yes. Good old what's his name?
Daddy.
Good old Daddy. Good old Raoden's terrible dad. Yes.
Could be good. So he's not.
He's not. He's awful.
So obviously it's discovered that he's sneaking out on a Thursday evening.
Yeah.
Every month.
It's like
very
every week.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Sorry, week.
Mm.
And Serene is like, well, what's going on here? So she tries to follow him. And leading up to that, she keeps interacting with the servants and they're like, oh, sorry. We're short-staffed. Another girl's gone.
Yeah.
Or another girl left really last minute.
Yeah.
I assumed that he was sleeping with them and then murdering them so they wouldn't...
You thought this was Mistborn.
I assumed that he was, murdering them so that they couldn't talk about the fact that he was sleeping with them.
Yeah.
I was not expecting him to have been doing that, but in a ritual sacrifice way.
Yes. Yes.
The image of him completely naked, in the sewer, surrounded by sewage, mutilating this girl.
Yeah, it was like, oh no!
It was one of those moments where it's like, oh, okay, I was not expecting that.
It was like they were at a nice party for an eclipse. It was like, we're going to a nice party. Oh, we're having party time.
Sorry, guys, I've got to go and murder a girl.
I gotta go stand in the sewage naked and go murder a lady.
Just wasn't expecting that to be thrown in there at all.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't appreciate it.
It was good. It was good.
It was quite a convenient way to get rid of the king.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was like, you don't even really see the fallout. It was literally the next scene later, they're like, oh, man, can't believe he killed himself. Oh, man. Yeah. And it's like, well, moving on. Even when Raoden finds out that he killed him, Raoden's like, oh man, that's really sad. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, but Raoden didn't like him.
Yeah, Raoden.
His dad's been trying to get rid of him for a long time.
I just remembered, that's what I was going to say. Once we hit the top 3 characters of the book, right?
Yeah.
Can you name any of their mothers?
Why?
Because Brandon has a thing where he doesn't name their mothers. Serene's mother is still alive.
She's got a name.
Nope.
She has.
She's unnamed.
She has a name.
Oh, yeah, I'm assuming she has a name.
Yeah.
But she's not named in the book.
Okay.
Raoden's mum died, so it's kind of a fair enough we don't hear names.
Yeah.
And then we don't even hear anything about Hierathan's mum.
I assume that she's sitting at home waiting for her son to call on his Sion.
Yeah,
because he uses it for unofficial purposes.
Yeah, yeah. He's great. Talking about that unofficial...
We'll get to that in a moment.
Okay. Get to talk about Fortran or Fortin. That's his name. That's the name
Poison
of the guy.
Guy.
The Poison Guy, yeah.
Yeah, well, you're taking me on a tangent and I want to talk about the king.
Are you okay? You want to talk about the Iadon?
Yeah.
Okay, you can keep talking about Iodon.
Thank you.
What else you got to say about good old King Iodon?
I actually don't have anything left to say about him.
Well then.
I just wasn't happy with your tangent.
So one thing I really liked about the conversation with, I'm going to say his name is Fortran, is... I'm certain his name is Fortran.
His name's 4chan, is it?
No, his name is Fortran, right? Okay. And I really liked the fact that in order to cover the fact he uses a Sion, he just tells Fortran that Diorn is so magical.
He doesn't tell him. The guy just assumes.
The guy just assumes he's so magical he can just speak directly into a Sion.
I mean, the guy is a heavy drug addict, and
he's probably like, this floating head keeps talking to me and asking me to do things, but I get paid when I do them, so I'm just going to keep doing them.
But I really love the logical loopholes that Harrison goes through.
Harrison. Yeah.
I love the logical loopholes he goes through to justify the things about that he's doing that go against his religion. Like, it's okay, I'm using the Sion for personal use because it was given to me by the worm, so I'm allowed to use it. You know? And
it's like, I can become an Elantrian and then stop being an Elantrian, but that's okay because it will help convert people. Like everything he does is always, it's okay for me to do this despite the fact it goes against my religion because then it'll convert people.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, lad.
I did enjoy him.
He's good.
Yeah. Royal.
Oh, Royale, yes.
Royal.
Or Royale or Royale or however you want to say it.
Royal.
Let's go with Royal.
So he is a creepy old man character done well, in my opinion.
I never got the creepy old man vibe from him.
It's because he isn't openly.
Yeah.
But like at the party with Sereni, he's talking about how these young girls are throwing themselves at him.
Yeah.
And he's tempted just to take them up on their offer and see what they do.
Oh, yes, I do remember this.
But he's never sort of attempted anything with any of these girls. He just sort of laughs it off.
Yeah.
And I quite like that.
Yeah.
The fact that he's an 80-something-year-old man and any of these young girls would sleep with him like that if they could get his money. And he never acts on that. Like, he knows about it. He laughs about it with his friends.
Yeah. And he enjoys the attention kind of thing. He's enjoying the situation, but he's like...
But he doesn't take advantage of his position. I like that about him.
His wife died like 4, 5, 6 years before the
Name her.
No.
You threw it on me.
And and he's just like, I had the love of my life, and now I'm okay to just kind of make sure the world is a nice place when I leave it. Like he's not. Yeah.
I really like him.
He's a real. I really like Royale.
I liked his little squabble with Arelon.
Arelon is the name of the country.
Yeah, the guy that's got a name very similar to that.
There's
Aroth. The trader, the merchant. The one that Ahane.
Yes, Ahane. Yeah.
Because they're in constant competition with each other and they're always trying to one-up each other.
Yes, because then when he treats him...
look what happened to your caravan.
Yeah, and he's like, oh no. And then right at the end, he's like, haha, I traded you in for treason. Got you.
And it's like, this wasn't a game anymore. We stopped playing.
Yeah.
Love that moment.
Yeah.
And then it dawns on him that he's the reason that Royal's now dead.
Yeah.
He just can't get over himself.
Ahane kind of gets away with that. I don't like that. Like
he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's then scorned by the other merchants.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, none of them want anything to do with him.
Okay, that's what I was like, because when I was listening to the epilogue, he is there at the funeral for all the characters, Ahane. And he's there at and they're like, oh, he just looks sad and he's lost a bit of weight, and it's like, Oh
no! I'm pretty sure that Kim or someone comments on how they're not talking to him anymore. Okay,
cool.
I'm sure
because that was a real scummy move of Ahane. That was a real whole thing to do.
You should cut that. That's awful. I loved the whole Aiden being a Elantrian thing, because I got that when I was reading. When we meet him and he's sitting at the table talking about how many steps to get to Elantris.
Yes.
And he just keeps repeating it to himself over and over. it immediately made me think of the Hoed.
Okay.
Hoided?
Hoided. The Hoided. You got it right the first time.
I don't know. The words keep making me second guess myself. But I automatically assumed that he was one.
Yeah.
And that maybe they were trying to cover it up, because obviously he never leaves the house.
Yeah.
He stays in his room until they take him out for food. And then he gets put back in his room.
Yeah.
He just sits there constantly mumbling like the steps to Elantris to himself.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me so much of like the people in the streets of Atlantis just constantly repeating the same phrase over and over.
Like, so very beautiful, such beauty kind of guy, yeah.
So when he sees the pile of bodies at the end and he starts walking towards it, it didn't surprise me when he got stabbed and he didn't start bleeding. Yeah. And he went and sat down with them, and it revealed that he was one. I was like, oh, okay.
He saw them, and he was like, "Oh, my people!" And he just got up and he just walked over to the pile of. They were piling the.
I'll burn with them.
Yeah, they were piling the Elantrians onto a big pyre, and he just goes and walks over and sits by them, and it's like,
because they're his people. He's finally made those steps to Elantris, and then obviously after Elantris is restored, he gets the ability to speak again. Yes. And he heals and he becomes a person again. Yeah. And he's talking and he is just normal again, and it's really lovely to see. Yeah. For some reason it just didn't clock in my head. Like when I was like, oh yeah, he's the guy, he's the numbers guy, you know. He's like, yeah. And then at the end I was kind of like, I didn't get the point in the reveal. Like, if it hadn't revealed he was an Elantrian, and, like, he hadn't been healed, they still could have just been like, oh, how many steps is it to the city, the TO'd city? And he probably still would have given them the number. So for me, it kind of felt a little bit like, what was the point of that? But then it resulted in nice moments. So it was like, okay, I'll allow it just for the Thank you.
Yes. I've got no problem with it. I just didn't really see it. I wasn't like, I thought I was like, okay.
Yeah, I do feel for Kim though. Kime.
Oh, Kime.
I call him Kim.
Good old Unky K.
Uncle Kim.
Yes.
Because as the oldest sibling, he should be king.
Oh my god, yeah, that whole thing. I was gonna say, I was listening to the audiobook with you, and as soon as they mentioned, like, they were talking about Uncle Kime and about how he fell out with Eventio. Yeah. And then they were like, they mentioned the pirate, and as soon as they mentioned the pirate, it came flooded back to me. I was like, oh yes, he's the pirate guy. Yeah. But I still couldn't remember why he was the pirate guy. So then when that reveal came, I was like, that's really cool. Yeah. Like, he was the gallivanting off older brother, and then when time came, his little brother was like, I'm going to be king. Yeah. And he's like, nah.
And then he didn't get his kingdom.
He didn't get his kingdom.
I do hope that Elantris 2 is the fight for Teod and which one's going to be king.
Ooh, that'd be good. I believe we know it's going to be about Kian's children. I think we know that.
What theory did I make about that the other day?
Oh, you had a really good theory, didn't you?
I did. Oh. So. Yes. You mentioned that Elantris 2... something about focusing on his children. Yeah. Obviously, Kiime's only got 2 children. Yes. Because Aiden and Lukel. Yeah. Luke. Aiden and Luke. Yeah. Let's give them normal names. That one, yeah. They're obviously not biologically his. Yes. So his 2 children are the twins that aren't actually twins. Yes. So I theorize that because the shards on this planet are dead. Yes. We'll get to that. They're going to find the shards. Yes. And each one of them is going to become one of the shards. Yes. Because there's 2 of them. There's 2 missing shards. It makes sense. It works, yes. It makes sense in my head. I'm sure that's not going to happen. We'll see. But that's my theory. We'll get to the shard stuff. Don't worry. Yeah. We'll get to it. It really bothered me. Okay. The Evantio stuff. Yeah. So when Serene was taken by the Sheod, and she becomes an Elantrian, and she's talking to her dad on her Sion, and she's like, "Dad, I'm fine. It's actually not that bad here. Yeah. Please don't worry for a second. I don't do anything silly. It's fine." And he immediately gets on his Theon
Yes.
to Hierathan, and he's like, I will convert my entire country if you bring my daughter out.
Yeah.
And if after speaking to Hierathan, if he had just called her on his Theon and been like, hey, I've had this offer, what do you think about it?
Yeah.
Because she's a very clever person. She is very diplomatic. She'd know what the best choice would be. And she could have been like, no, Dad. That's dumb.
Yeah.
Don't do what he wants. I'm fine. I will be fine.
Yeah.
So I kind of wish that he had spoken to her before just deciding that he was going to convert his whole country to this religion.
That's fair. Yeah.
Because it's not like he couldn't talk to her.
Yeah, they were talking through the serum, weren't they? Yeah.
It wasn't like he had heard that she had been taken and he had no way of getting in contact with her.
Yeah.
And his spies weren't able to talk to her either. Like, he wasn't desperate.
Yeah.
He had options. I just don't understand why he then chose to
I do think it was a case of he's like, my daughter has been turned into one of these horrible monsters, and they hear about how horrible the Elantrians are and how horrible it is there. And he's like, my daughter's been. She says she's fine, but like he's like not an overbearing father. He's just a father who cares, and he's like, she might be saying she's fine, but I really don't think she is, and I'm really not. And so,
surely he could have asked for a couple of days so he could take a boat over and go and visit.
I mean, to be fair, they weren't exactly in a rush, were they?
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked Eventio. Like, comparing him with Iadon, this is another thing as well. I kind of combined the two kings because it's not very often you get a book with like two kings.
Yeah, but
like,
they're
so different.
Kings.
But I combined, like, I thought in my memory, Eventio was Raoden's dad and was just he was a good king. And then when everyone was like, oh yeah, the terrible king in Elantris, I was like, am I misremembering?
No.
And then it turned out I was.
Yeah.
Hi.
Don't encourage her.
I'm just gonna say hi. So yeah, that's Eventio.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So, shall we go on to quickly talk about the shards and then go on to questions?
We'll talk about the shards? Yep. Okay, so...
Because everything else I've got is questions.
That's fine. So, the shard stuff.
Yes.
The original plan was I was going to give Lucy a list of the shards and been like, try and guess which ones are on Cell. But the problem is that I'd already told you all the name of the shards in the last episode.
Yeah.
And so...
No, I made you name them.
So then you sat me down and you're like, write me the name of the shards. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Devotion, Dominion, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, is Devotion one of them? And I'm like, damn. I'm like, it's a good guess.
Well, the whole book is so religion heavy.
Yes.
And it's so based on the religions that it was hard to consider it not being devotion.
Yeah. And then I can't remember how you got Dominion. Did you get Dominion?
You know how I got Dominion.
How did you get Dominion?
So, whilst editing Error 2, Ben looked something up on the Coppermind. And it happened to have a big old list of the shards and who was on each planet. Yeah. And I happened to look up at the moment and see that Dominion was another shard on Elantris. I knew there was two.
Devotion, deceased, Cell. Dominion, deceased, Cell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get a look at any of the others.
Yeah.
So the others are complete guesses, and I'm not planning to look them up.
Except you also got Warbreakers.
No.
In like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but I guessed that.
Yeah,
that wasn't because I'd seen it.
Yeah.
Like, I intentionally tried not to look.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I would have got Dominion.
Yeah.
Dominion and Devotion are kind of similar.
Yeah.
In that, obviously,
it's kind of
it's about grouping people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like two sides of the same coin. It's very similar to Ruin and Preservation, where it's like Devotion is your devotee to someone, and then Dominion is your dominion over people.
Yeah.
You know, it's the two sides of the same coin that both play roles in religions. And they definitely do.
So I don't know if I would have got Dominion.
Yeah.
Until I had sort of gone through the list and tried to work it out.
Yeah.
But I'm happy that I got Devotion.
Yes,
you got Devotion. How quickly I got
you got Devotion very quickly, and it was good because so obviously, as I said, they're both dead.
Yeah.
but they died thousands of years before the events of Elantris.
Yeah.
I think for a while we thought they were the cause of the Riod, but Brandon was very much, they weren't the cause of the Riod, they died thousands of years ago.
Well, the Riod is because the land changed and their aeons are based on geography.
Yes.
Which was great.
Yeah. So, then I told you about how, because they died, their power got pushed into the cognitive realm, and so their power then was shaped into the...
you didn't say about it going into the cognitive realm.
Okay, well...
However, thank you for confirming the theory that I was going to get to in a minute.
Okay, so then they're kind of there...
You told me that they just...
Their powers
vanished,
suffused into the land, and became their power became the land. Cool. I'm interested in. Okay, shall we go on to theories then?
So I was talking to you the other day about the pool.
Yes.
And I said that I thought that it was where the devotion shard had fallen.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's so close to Elantris, and that's how Elantris ended up being where it was.
Yeah. Good dog.
Yeah, it's fine.
Careful.
Hey, baby. So I theorized that it was sort of the remains of his shard.
Yeah.
I then refined that.
Excellent.
I think I happened to be listening to the audiobook at the point that I was at, and that's what's made me sort of think about it.
Yeah.
But on the wall in the... It wasn't the temple, but the old Elantrian place.
Yeah.
It's got the blue pool and an Elantrian falling into it.
Yes.
And next to it is a big white disc.
Yep.
So that made me think that going through the pool took you to the cognitive realm.
Look at that!
Cool. And then that was confirmed by the Hoyd epilogue, where Hoyd jumps into the pool.
Yeah.
Because obviously we know that he's not dead, so it couldn't have killed him.
Yeah.
But we do know that he was hanging out in the cognitive realm.
Yeah.
So that made me think that maybe it was a gateway into the cognitive realm.
Yeah.
So that is my pool theory. I'm glad I was correct.
That is absolutely excellent. So let me tell you about the pools. So what that pool is it's what we used to call them shard pools before we had a word for it, but they're now called perpendicularities. Yeah. So what happens is when a shard invests on a planet, if they spend enough time there, they make enough change, and they invest on that planet, there manifests a perpendicularity, which is a point where the three realms, the cognitive, the physical, and the spiritual, they kind of become one, and it allows you to move between the realms, quite easily. And so that was Aeonas, which was the name of the vessel for devotion. So that was Aeona's perpendicularity. And you've seen someone else's perpendicularity.
Oh, it was the Well of Ascension.
The Well of Ascension, yes. The Well of Ascension.
Sorry, that took me way too long.
No, you got it at the end. So the Well of Ascension.
Because Hoydy goes through that one as
well. Goes through that one as well.
Sake Hoyd.
So that was preservation's perpendicularity.
Yeah.
And like funny things happen around perpendicularity. So, for example, the fact that Elantris is so close to Aeonas is they're connected. There's no way that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Near preservation's perpendicularity, near Laras's, you had that's where the ruin prism was, because that's where the power starts leaking through.
Yeah.
And there was also, we know where Ruin's was, because where Ruin's perpendicularity was, his power started leaking into the world as well.
Yeah.
Where do you think that could be?
Right. Oh, is that where the Atium was?
That's where the Atium was, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and so AT's perpendicularity was, we know it was near the pits of Hathsin. I don't know whether it's like a cave underneath it that we just never see or something like that. But that's where...
We've got book 4.
We've got book 4. Well, the thing is now that they're united, and we know he moved the well, and we know he moved all the pits and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We now aren't sure whether there's still 2 on Scadrial or whether there's just one harmony perpendicularity.
The harmony pool.
The harmony pool, yeah. But that's
cool.
Look at you. You got that.
I had a little bit more to it.
Okay.
Obviously, those shards are dead.
Yes.
So they don't exist anymore.
The vessels are dead.
I toyed around with... I asked you the other day about shards splintering.
Yes.
And bits of shards.
Yes.
So I think that there's splinters in the pool.
Okay.
Well, like in the cognitive realm.
Yeah.
Because obviously when you go into the pool, the
Yeah.
voice talks to you.
Yeah.
So I think that's Devotion's voice.
Okay.
Because there's like a splinter of his shard in the cognitive realm.
That's a great theory. And I did ask you to ask me this question.
I know that means I'm wrong.
I know I did, because I asked you to ask the question. Do you want me to tell you about the splinters of Devotion Dominion? No?
No.
No?
No, I want to find it out myself.
Okay.
I don't need you for this.
Okay, I'll leave that one for you then. But no, you'll find out. Actually, no, I'll let you read, because it's all in Arcanum Unbounded. So I'll let you read Arcanum Unbounded. When you get to that book, it'll tell you more about the shards and the planets and stuff.
Why does the Sheod only take people from Teod and Erelon,
and some people from Duladel,
and occasionally a Duladel?
Yes.
Because, as they pointed out, there's lots of Shinju. Shuden.
Wait, that might be the character's
name. That's the character's name.
Jindo.
Yes, There's lots of Jindo people that live in Arelon.
Yes.
And it never takes them. And it doesn't take anybody from Theodel, Duladel, who's Dula. It doesn't take any of those people.
Yeah.
So do we have an answer for why it only takes those?
As I was saying before we start recording, the shards, when they died, their power now kind of suffuses the land, and all the magic systems is based on the land. It's not just like the geography, it's also based on the country. Yeah. Because a lot of the power is still in the cognitive realm as well. So a lot of it is shaped by people's thoughts. Yeah. And so what happens is that each country has its own magic system. Yeah.
They all have the same magic system.
They all have the same magic. It just manifests in different ways. It's all the door, because the two shards' powers kind of just mix together into this door.
Close the door.
And so what happened was that suffused into land, and then you're only able to use the magic from your land, basically, or you as a person are connected to the land you grew up in. Yeah. This is a capital C connection. You might remember they talked about this in Bands of Mourning. They would sometimes say connection with a capital C, because connection is a thing in the Cosmere. Okay. With a capital C. Okay. It's like a magical connection. So you are connected to your land. It's how... I
was going to say, is that why Elantrians, their power weakens as they leave?
Yes, because they're further away, that weakens the connection. Cool. And so I imagine only people from... I can't remember where the name of the country that the Feudal Emperor started in, but I imagine only they can use the bone magic. I imagine, we see Shindo. Yeah. We see him use his cool Shuden. We see him use his cool martial arts thing. So I imagine that's probably only accessible to Jindo people. Yeah. The reason
he said that it is like they're the only ones that can access the supernatural ability of it.
Okay.
Anyone can learn to do the dance, but that's all it would be.
Okay, cool. I think the Duladel, the border thing, I feel like that's because they're just so close to the border. They see themselves as Erelon. Okay. It's kind of they're on the border, so they're a mix. I don't know about Teod people. Yeah. Yeah.
Only if they're living in Arelon.
Oh yes, because they're so connected they're already connected like to the culture and the country. They're basically
okay. Because that was my thing, is that Teod people living in Allendale get taken.
Yeah. Wow, Allendale.
That's where we're at now. But people who come from other countries that live in Arendelle.
It's Arendelle now.
They don't get taken.
Yeah, so I think it's because Teod and Erelon are so close culturally, spiritually, that they are connected to the land of Erelon despite not being from there. Cool. So yes, that's how the magic of those things work.
Cool. Yeah. My next question.
Yeah.
What are Scions? How do they work?
Yeah.
I know how you get a Scion.
Yeah.
But how are they made? Can you make more? Or is there like a limited amount?
Okay.
No,
okay.
Shut up. I don't want you to actually answer.
Okay, you don't want me to answer. Good.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm very interested in Scions.
Cool.
I'm more interested in the Dark Scion.
The Dark Scion.
The one that's with Hoyd at the end.
Yes.
Because the way that it's described in the book.
Yeah.
reminds me of something else.
Yes, I remember you mentioning
the whole pulling things towards it, and like the fact that it's talking. It reminded me of Nightbringer?
Nightblood? Nightblood, because you started reading
It reminds me of Nightblood.
Yes.
So I was wondering if they were connected.
Did you want me to answer that?
I'm going to assume that they're connected.
Okay.
I don't need an answer.
Okay. I'm glad you know when you're wrong, so you asked me not to answer the questions.
Well, it's more, I'm happy for it to be answered at the end of Warbreaker if I've not had it answered before.
Okay.
But right now, like, I'm quite happy not having the answer for it.
Okay, that's fine.
Like,
I have a feeling people in the comments might spoil this for you, so try not to. But
it's just that so far they seem to act similar.
Okay.
That's all. And obviously I know nothing about these things.
Yeah.
The Dark Scion wasn't... They don't even have Dark Scions in the book. That's just in the
Do you know
epilogue.
What's great? So we know what they are. We know they're called Skazy, right?
Yeah.
Or Skies or Skays. So the vessel of Dominion was called Sky or Skay. It's Skai.
Yeah.
I think everyone says Sky, but then Brandon says Skay, and it's like, what are you doing, Brandon?
I mean, it's his book.
Yeah, no. This doesn't mean anything. And so we know they're Skazy, and I found out that, so when I was listening to the audiobook, Harathan does mention Skazy. And he says the Skazy foretold of something.
Yeah.
So you hear about them, but you don't see them.
Okay.
And then we know in the epilogue that the Skazy with the thing that with Hoyd is a Skazy, and we're like, oh, okay. So we hear about them in the book, we don't see them, and then we see them in the epilogue, we don't know anything about them.
See, I assumed it was just a Scion that he'd managed to corrupt.
No, it's
Hoyd.
It's exactly what you say. It's like an evil Scion. Yeah. Well, it's like a Dominion Scion as opposed to a
Devotion
Scion.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cool. But yeah, the Hoyd epilogue.
Yeah,
was great. Like that's
more Hoyd.
It's just more Hoyd
being Hoyd.
That's probably the biggest clue we've had as to what he's up to.
Yeah,
because he's trying to be an Elantrian, isn't he?
Yeah,
and so he's like he did something. He like wrapped his head in bandages. Like he tried something.
I have a feeling that maybe he took. Because obviously there were 4 potion vials. I know that 2 of them smashed.
Yes.
But maybe he tried to like scrape the remnants out of the box or something to see whether it would turn him into an Elantrian.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because that's the closest we've come to thinking, knowing what Hoyd's up to. Is he trying to gather all of the magics from the various shards? Because obviously he took one of the Lorasian beads from the Well of Ascension. Yeah. He did that in Secret History. And so, him then trying to become Elantrian, it's like, okay, there is a pattern emerging here.
I like the idea of that.
Yeah. So we're kind of like, why? I wonder why.
Yeah. Why would he give the coin away in Bands of Mourning, though?
Because... when Hoyd does things that don't make sense, we just say he has access to Fortune, and the book said he needed to be there and do that thing.
So he's met Fortune the Shard.
Oh yeah. No, we know he's got some sort of access to Fortune. Yeah, similar to how a Feruchemist can store it and use it later, but we don't. So he's in the right place, at the right time, and does the right things for you. He kind of just turns up and does things, and it kind of works out for the plot. Hoyd. Yeah.
I've not had Hoyd yet.
You've not had?
I've not had Hoyd in Warbreaker yet.
Oh, have you not had Hoyd in Warbreaker yet?
Okay. No. I look forward to him.
Yes. Also, Hoyd's... So he's in the epilogue, but then he also has a...
he's got a job.
He's got a job. He's one of the beggars in...
He is hanging out around the city, and Serene employs him to... take food to the Elantrians on her behalf at night.
Yeah, he's like she's using him because she's used him before because she feeds the beggars. You know how all the beggars hide? Yeah. So she also feeds the beggars that are in hiding, because if they are seen on the street, they get sent off to the plantations.
Does she?
Yeah, so that's why she's using him to feed the Elantrians, because she knows she's used him before. She knows he can do this. He can should be trusted.
He's a good guy.
But I'm just kind of like, I was like, I don't know. I was just sitting there and I was like, this doesn't feel like a Hoyd cameo. He could have literally been called anything else and it would have just been like a beggar on the street that's helpful.
Because obviously his cameo is quite late in this book.
Yeah, it was really
I
late.
assumed
Yeah.
Harathan runs into a random beggar quite early on in the book. I assumed that was his cameo until it actually said.
Yeah, until it was actually something.
Because obviously this takes place before Mistborn.
Yes.
So I was wondering whether he was a character yet.
Yeah, because like
So as I said, I just assumed that was him, the old beggar man that Harathan ends up chatting to and like getting into his plans with.
Yeah, I was going to say, he meets a beggar man that is the one that tells them, we've got to be really careful about when and where we beg because if we get seen, we get shipped off to plantations.
Yeah.
I know, I remember. So do we have anything else? Oh, the link to the Eyrie. So you were like, I look forward to finding out more about the blue aliens in Secret History.
Yeah.
And then you found out a lot about the blue aliens in Secret History in this book.
Yeah.
I think the things that we know about the Eyrie...
I mean, they're not as blue as I thought they were.
They're not as blue as I thought they were. Well, that's the weird thing, because I don't know if they're all silvery or if the juice they drink makes them...
Well, it says that they're not metallic.
Yes.
They just sort of appear a bit metallic.
Yeah. So, it's weird, because they're described as silver but not metallic, and I'm like, I don't kind of get how you could be silvery and not metallic. But
I get it. Okay. They're sort of like iridescent, if that makes sense. That's how I now picture them.
That's fair.
Blue iridescent people.
Yeah. And so
drinking their pool water.
Things we know about the Eyrie is that they left Cell, the planet, before the Riod.
Mm.
We don't know how the Riod affected them, but then they're obviously okay now.
Yeah.
And like the being far away from Elantris, they clearly have like juice to keep them going.
Yeah.
Because they drink their Elantris juice and it makes them all Elantris-y again.
Yeah.
So that's the Eyrie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the leader is named after the lake that's the dot in all of the Aeons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cute.
Yeah.
So with the book ending,
yes,
Fjordell has access to the door.
Yes.
Because they all have access to the door.
Yeah.
The Drakor have not really been defeated. They've just been kept out of Teod and Aedan.
Or Erelon.
Erelon.
I mean, they were kept out of Aedan as well.
Good. So they are still about.
Yes.
They've not been defeated.
No, they're still about.
And they still own every other country.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. You are stating facts.
Cool. just checking.
Yeah.
Still not met Worm.
Still not met Worm. I look forward to meeting the Worm.
I look forward to meeting Worm.
Yeah. I think. Are they from the Sworden?
I think so.
I think they're from Sworden.
Swordfish.
With their swordfish fighting.
Yeah.
Was it shark fighting? Oh, it might be shark fighting. Mm-hmm. Either way, Sworden's great. Look forward to seeing Sworden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want Elantris too.
Yeah, same.
I realise that it's been a very long time.
Yeah.
But I would like it.
Yeah. But I think he said he needs to write Elantris 2 before we get the second half of the Stormlight Archive.
Cool.
So book 4 of the Stormlight Archive, he's then going to write Wax and Wayne 4, then he's going to write Stormlight Archive 5, and then he's going to take a break for Stormlight Archive before writing Stormlight Archive 6.
Cool.
And I think we're getting Elantris 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
And then we might be getting, I think, Nightblood. But I think he said before that Nightblood is I think he said before that Nightblood
I like Nightblood.
The closest book to falling off the Cosmere timeline of just, I'm never going to get round to it because it's he's only got so many, years to write books. Yeah.
Did I do good? I love Nightblood.
I was going to say, you read the prologue and you were like, I love Nightblood. Oh, by the way, Lucy is like 30% of the way through.
50. You're
50% of the way through Warbreaker already. Yes. So we're probably going to be recording Warbreaker in like 2 days at this point.
I was going for tomorrow, but all right.
Oh, that works. Yeah. Cool. Excellent. So I think that's everything.
Yeah, I'm done.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. This one was a bit more positive than the last one.
The last one was positive.
The last one was positive. It's
just
fine.
Didn't like it.
It's fine. So follow us on 17shard.com, follow us on Twitter, follow us on YouTube. We do have an Instagram, so swipe right on us on Tinder. We have a Patreon, so give us money. And anything else?
No, I'm good.
Bye!
Bye!